Welcome to The Deep Dive. We're the podcast where we plunge headfirst into a stack of sources to uncover stories you never knew you needed to hear.
That's right.
And today, well, we're embarking on a journey to decode a truly fascinating contradiction. We've got the stark difference between an official military record and the deeply personal, often heartbreaking accounts of one man's life.
It's quite the contrast.
It really is. It's a journey that's going to take us from Belgium all the way to the American Midwest through war, illness, incredible resilience. And it ultimately reveals some profound insights into immigration and identity in 19th century America.
Exactly. Our mission today is really to pull back the layers on the lives of Ambrose Bernard Van Landschoot and his equally remarkable wife, Mary Jane Holliet. We'll be sifting through, well, quite a bit. Military pension records from the National Archives, census data, wills, and honestly, a treasure trove of newspaper clippings from the Geneseo Republic.
Ah, the local papers. Always gold.
Always. And these aren't just dry facts, They're the raw materials for a human story that I think really challenges our perceptions of historical truth.
Okay, let's dig into this then. Our story begins in Belgium. That was a town then in the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Now it's part of modern-day Belgium.
Correct.
And that's where Ambrose Bernard Van Landschoot was born, March 6, 1821. And right away, you find something that kind of sets him apart from many immigrants of his time.
Yeah, what's that?
He was incredibly educated, a student at the College of St. Nicholas, which, get this, was the highest institution of learning in Belgium at the time.
Wow. Okay, so not your typical immigrant profile necessarily for that era. And what's truly striking here is how that academic background contrasts with, well, what came later in his life.
Right.
We even have this little anecdote from his youth, gives you a glimpse into his personality. On June 29, 1836, during a summer holiday, he apparently played a part in an amoral comedy called Jan van den Kamerde's Weinigem Student.
An amoral comedy? What does that even mean back then?
Well, probably not scandalous in the way we'd think today. More like, a playful, maybe slightly mischievous theatrical piece.
Yeah.
It suggests a spirited and intellectually curious young man, maybe already pushing boundaries a bit.
Interesting. And his intellectual breadth, it was apparently astounding.
Oh, yeah.
The sources say he was exceptionally well-read in history, fluent in Flemish, English, French, Greek, and Latin.
Imagine that, 5 languages.
Imagine arriving in a new country in 1848, that was during James Knox Polk's presidency, with that kind of linguistic and intellectual firepower. He was part of this significant immigrant tide heading to the American Midwest.
Which raises that key question. Why the Midwest?
Ugh.
And why so many Belgians specifically?
New question.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Illinois and the areas around it, particularly places like Moline and Atkinson, they became one of the largest Belgian-American settlements in the U.S.
After Detroit and Chicago, I think.
Exactly. Moline especially. And the reasons, well, economic hardship back in Belgium, plus social, political, religious issues, it all pushed people to emigrate.
And the U.S. Midwest offered this pull factor.
Precisely. It was this amazing combination of fertile farmland, which was very similar to what they knew back home in Belgium, especially Flanders, and booming industrial opportunities. You have to think about John Deere.
Ah, the steel plow.
Yes. Invented nearby in Grand Detour, then the company moves to Moline, becomes this huge industrial giant. So Belgian immigrants, mostly from Flanders, could pretty easily find jobs either farming or in the factories.
So the opportunity was there, but it couldn't have been easy.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
The journey itself, breaking those family ties,
Yeah.
grappling with a completely new language, even if Ambrosius knew English,
Yeah.
and just enduring the difficulties en route. Huge challenges.
Yet, places like Atkinson, Illinois, this small rural town mostly populated by people from East Flanders and Zeeland, they really flourish.
They did. Our sources describe Atkinson as known for its, quote, general prosperity. Good market for crops like corn, thriving local businesses. You had Peter Hugh making boots and shoes, Leo Shadaman growing trees, Ramelaire and Deroux selling drinks, a real community building up.
And Ambrosius eventually became part of that officially. He was naturalized as an American citizen on October 15th, 1868 in Cambridge, Henry County, Illinois.
So we've got this picture. Highly educated, multilingual Belgian man building a life in the American Midwest.
But then, for so many people in that era, the Civil War just completely changes the trajectory.
Profoundly. Ambrosius enlisted as a private September 11, 1861, in St. Louis, Missouri. He joined Company H of the 10th Regiment Missouri Volunteers, later transferred a few times, ending up in the 24th Missouri Volunteers.
His service, though, it was quickly impacted by illness really quite soon after enlisting.
And yeah, the timing is significant.
In June 1862, while he was on guard duty down in Corinth, Mississippi, he contracted what they called inflammatory rheumatism.
And the records specify why.
Due to constant stormy weather. That detail really grounds it, doesn't it? Just the sheer physical hardship of being a soldier then.
It absolutely does. And it shows how those conditions could have these long-term, devastating health effects. This condition, inflammatory rheumatism, the sources are very clear, it plagued him for the rest of his life.
And ultimately caused his death.
And he was hospitalized multiple times because of it. Keokuk, Iowa, then Memphis, Tennessee, then Jefferson Barracks in Missouri, where he was also treated for a fractured tibia, another injury.
Okay, so a difficult service record already. But here's where the story gets really complex. This is where those layers of truth start to emerge, the ones official records often miss or obscure.
Right, because in July and August of 1864, the official rolls list Ambrosius as present and arrest awaiting sentence of court-martial.
A court-martial? What for?
He's found guilty of conduct prejudicial to good order and military discipline. Pretty broad charge, but the sentence was severe.
So severe.
Dishonorable discharge, loss of all pay and bounty, and 8 months of confinement at hard labor at the military prison in Nashville, Tennessee.
Wow. 8 months, hard labor, and a dishonorable discharge.
He was received at the prison in September 64, released in May 65, so he served that time. His official discharge date, the dishonorable one, was accepted as September 14, 1864.
A dishonorable discharge, I mean, that's just a devastating blow. Not just financially, losing pay and any potential pension, but for his personal honor, his standing in the community, especially back then.
Absolutely. It cast a very long shadow.
Which makes what happened later all the more, well, poignant. Because on June 25, 1880, years later, Ambrose Van Landschoot filed a declaration for invalid army pension.
Okay.
And here's the crucial discrepancy. He explicitly stated in that declaration that he was honorably discharged in 1865.
Completely contradicting the court-martial record.
Yeah, completely. He claimed his inflammatory rheumatism was directly contracted from, quote, exposure and hardship while in service, and that it greatly disabled him for manual labor.
You know, this isn't just a simple factual error, is it? It feels like a profound look into how individuals sometimes had to craft their own narratives for survival.
Yeah.
Especially when facing these harsh, maybe unforgiving official military records.
Yeah.
It forces you to ask, whose truth carries more weight? The piece of paper from the court-martial or the lived experience of the man?
And the testimonies in his pension file really lean towards the lived experience.
They really do. That's what stands out.
Yeah.
You have these consistent witness testimonies, multiple doctors, longtime acquaintances. Dr. Joseph Hewitt knew him before the war, said he was the family physician, believed him to be a man, hard in every particular before the illness.
Meaning strong, healthy?
Yeah, robust, healthy. And you remembered Ambrosius complaining of rheumatism around the time of the Battle of Jackson. Then later physicians, Dr. William M. Smith, Dr. L.W. Carter, they painted this clear, really harrowing picture of his long-term suffering.
What did they say specifically?
They detailed his chronic rheumatic inflammation, how it made him, quote, totally unfit for manual labor. Dr. Carter, who treated him from 65 to 70, noted 3 or 4 attacks a year, laying him up for anywhere from 1 to 10 weeks each time.
10 weeks. Multiple times a year.
Yes. And friends back this up. Bruno Vervan knew him from 1866, said he always known him to have the rheumatism, saw it get worse yearly until Ambrosius was entirely helpless in the last 4 years, confined to bed, had to be lifted into a chair, wheeled around.
And another friend, Louis Debates.
Knew him even before the war and said he had rheumatism even then, but after the war, it just grew worse from time to time. He mentioned Ambrosius using crutches in his last year, constantly bedridden, needing to be lifted and wheeled. Both friends confirmed he really couldn't do manual labor after the war, except maybe possibly the first year or two.
So regardless of the discharge status, the testimonies paint a picture of severe, chronic, disabling illness contracted during or significantly worsened by the war.
Exactly, a lifelong battle.
The human cost of war and chronic illness, it's just laid bare here. But his story and its deeper truths, it wouldn't be complete without the remarkable woman who stood by him, and then really stood strong after him.
Mary Jane Holliot.
His wife, Mary Jane Holliot. Ambrosius married her April 7th, 1869 at St. Anthony's Church in St. Louis. Now, Mary Jane, she was born in Abington, Indiana in 1848.
And her family background is interesting, too. Her father, John Werner Vincent Holliot, was born in Hanover, Germany. Her mother, Anna Catherine Hall, also born in Germany.
Ah, so German roots.
Yes, though interestingly, her mother was Lutheran, while Mary Jane and the rest of her family were Catholic. A little bit of religious diversity there within the family.
They had one known child, right?
Ambrose III. Yes, born April 1873. Likely during a voyage they took to Europe.
A voyage?
Seems so. In early 1872, the family traveled to Europe, probably to visit Mary Jane's family in Germany and maybe Ambrosius's family back in Belgium.
Makes sense.
They returned on October 27, 1873, on a ship called the Rydal Hall, arriving in Philadelphia with their 6-month-old son, Ambrose III.
But tragically, he didn't live long.
No. Sadly, he died sometime before the 1880 census. He's buried in Anawan.
So they settled back in Illinois, first Anawan in Henry County, then later Atkinson, and they seem to become quite active community figures.
They really do. Especially looking at those newspaper clippings from the Geneseo Republic. They showed the couple hosting these vibrant community events at their place, which became known as Van Landschoot's Gardens.
Van Landschoot's Gardens? Sounds nice. What kind of events?
Well, in June 1874, there's an announcement for a picnic. Lemonade, small beer for everyone,
Okay.
and lager beer, but only for club members.
Huh. Exclusive lager.
A little bit. Then in August 74, a German school reunion was held there, followed by a dance at Teutonia Hall nearby.
So they were really integrating into the social fabric, particularly the German-American community, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And Ambrosius, with all those languages, especially Flemish and French alongside English and German, likely from Mary Jane's side, he would have been quite a figure, you'd imagine.
Yeah.
And these gatherings really highlight their role. Even after Ambrosius died in May 1885, the annual picnic for the German-American school was still held at the Van Landschoot Garden. By then, it was Mary Jane's property, of course.
Still keeping that community connection going.
Yeah, complete with a children's parade and music by Bloyer's Rock Island Band, apparently quite popular.
But alongside these community events, the sources also tragically track Ambrosius's decline.
They do. By September 24th, 1880, the newspaper notes he'd been, quote, confined to his room most of the time for the last 3 years.
3 years confined to his room. It just shows how debilitating that rheumatism was.
Utterly. He eventually succumbed to it. Died November 1st, 1883 in Atkinson. He was 62.
And buried November 4th, 1883 at Oakwood Cemetery in Geneseo, though you mentioned he was originally somewhere else.
Right. Initially buried at Shabona Grove Cemetery in Atkinson. His remains were probably moved later, likely around 1896 when Mary Jane died, to be with her in Oakwood Cemetery.
Okay, so Ambrosius passes away in 1883, and this is where Mary Jane's story just takes off in a way that's, well, pretty remarkable for the time.
It really is. It offers this powerful blueprint for female agency. You know, in an era where women's economic independence was definitely still an uphill battle.
So what does she do?
Well, upon Ambrosius's death, she immediately stepped up. She didn't just retreat. She proved herself not just a resilient widow, but a real force of nature in business.
How so?
The sources describe her flat out as engaged in the business of a merchant and a woman of great business ability who conducted a successful mercantile trade.
High praise.
And she didn't forget Ambrosius. She diligently pursued his pension after his death, filed a declaration on April 5, 1884, basically asking the government to accept his previously filed, albeit informal, declaration so she could receive any accrued pension due to him.
So she's fighting for that while also building her own businesses.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is her drive. She wasn't just running, say, the one shop Ambrosius might have had. She diversified. She adapted. She expanded her portfolio rapidly.
Okay, give us some examples. What kind of ventures?
All right, well, late 1884, she's advertising good flour and feed, standard enough for a general merchant.
Right.
But then, by April 1885, she's dealing in real estate. She has property for sale or rent in Geneseo, described as the beer garden, maybe the old garden property. 8 acres, good house, suggesting it's suitable for pleasure, a market garden, or just a home. She had a keen eye for property value and use.
Okay, so merchandise and real estate. What else?
She branched into large-scale farm sales. Held a public auction in February 1886, selling 5 workhorses, 6 milk cows, 75 shoats, that's young pigs, wagons, plows, farm tools.
Yeah.
She clearly understood the local agricultural economy.
That's quite a range. Flour, property, livestock.
And retail. Her retail ventures were just as dynamic. A barber, Mr. Dork Perkins, moved into her shop space in 1888. Then in 1889, she remodeled her storeroom in one of the most prettiest one in town. Always improving.
So constantly reinvesting, adapting.
Constantly. Then get this. She sells her large general store to a Louis Verbeckmose in August 1892.
Okay, so maybe stepping back.
You'd think. But no, almost immediately after, in August 1894, she purchases Peter Hughes stock, remember him, the boot and shoe guy from earlier.
Ah, right.
And she sells his stock off at reduced prices. Clearing inventory, maybe?
Or maybe setting up her next move.
Exactly. Because just a year later, October 1895, she opens a new shoe store on Main Street, offering special holiday prices on boots and shoes. She even advertised selling boots, shoes, and furniture at cost earlier that summer, stating a total value of $3,500. Just incredible business sense.
She sounds relentless and smart.
Absolutely. But wait, there's one more thing.
Go on.
From 1884, right after Ambrose's died, all the way to 1895, the year she died. She also served as a local agent for the Red Star Line.
The shipping line.
Yes, selling ocean passage tickets either to or from all major ports. She was essentially an early travel agent, right there in Atkinson, Illinois.
Wow. A travel agent on top of everything else. What does that tell you? Maybe about her understanding of the immigrant community, connecting them back home.
It certainly suggests foresight, doesn't it?
Correct.
Understanding a specific need within her community and filling it just adds another layer to her business acumen.
And beyond this impressive business savvy, she was also known for her character, right?
Deeply involved in the community,
Mm-hmm.
known for compassion, described as noble, charitable, and kind, always ready with time and means to aid every good cause.
Any examples of that charity?
Yes, in February 1895, there's a note that she contributed a significant $150 worth of boots and shoes for Nebraska sufferers, likely people affected by drought or hardship out there. Shows her generosity extended beyond just her immediate town.
Clearly a woman of substance. Financially, yes, but also in her civic spirit.
And as a successful businesswoman, she could afford things like travel. She visited the World's Columbian Exposition, the Chicago World's Fair, in October 1893.
Oh, the White City. That must have been incredible.
Absolutely. More than just a trip, it was attending this monumental event. Chicago beat out New York and St. Louis to host it. It covered a massive area, 2.4 square kilometers, 200 buildings, canals, lagoons, attracted over 27 million visitors. It was a real symbol of America's emerging global presence and innovation. And Mary Jane was there to see it.
Her life, too, though, ended tragically young.
Very young, only 47. She died December 31st, 1895, right at the end of the year in Atkinson.
And the cause was quite specific and awful.
Yeah, the reports say excruciating suffering from a bone in her throat on Christmas Day. It led to an operation, but it was unsuccessful, apparently due to her weakness. Just a terrible way to go.
She was buried just a few days later, January 3, 1896, at Oakwood Cemetery in Geneseo, in that same plot as Ambrosius.
And despite her sudden death, she left behind a truly remarkable fortune.
She died intestate, you mentioned. No will.
That's what the petitioner for her estate claimed. No known will. Which is surprising given her business sense. But her estate was substantial. The real estate alone was estimated at $23,000 back then.
Which is easily worth, what, today?
Over $722,000
Yep.
based on 1898 equivalents. And her personal property, boots, shoes, notes owed to her, life insurance, furniture, another $12,000, so over $377,000 today. We're talking over $1 million in total value.
Incredible. And that included property where?
All over. Illinois, obviously, but also Nebraska, Michigan, Iowa. Like 160 acres in Dickinson County, Iowa, lots in Havelock, Nebraska, lots in Meredith, Michigan.
She really spread her investments.
Diversified, absolutely.
Sure.
Also had a $2,000 life insurance policy and stock certificates in a savings loan and building company in St. Paul, Minnesota.
And since she had no surviving husband or children who inherited all this?
Her heirs were her father, Joseph Holliott, who was 77 by then and waived his right to administer the estate, her sister Lucinda Holliott, her brother James Holliott, and another sister, Mrs. Mary J. Troyer. It just showcases the sheer scale of what Mary Jane built through her, well, extraordinary business acumen.
Wow. What a journey this deep dive has been, seriously.
Yeah.
From a European scholar playing in amoral comedies
Right.
to a Civil War soldier whose official record just clashed so profoundly with his own pension claims, and more importantly, the heartfelt testimonies of everyone who knew him, painting this picture of chronic, debilitating pain.
A stark contrast.
And then His widow, Mary Jane, I mean, a formidable businesswoman, doesn't quite cover it. She not only continued his ventures, but just exploded into diversifying retail, real estate, farm sales, even selling ocean passage tickets. Her story really redefines what was possible for a 19th century widow.
Absolutely. The story of Ambrosius and Mary Jane Van Landschoot, it's not just a tale of two individuals, is it? It's like a microcosm of the American immigrant experience in the 19th century.
Yeah.
You see this blend of personal aspirations, national upheaval like the Civil War, incredible entrepreneurial drive, and also that quiet, enduring suffering from illness and loss. Such a powerful reminder that history is rarely, if ever, a single, clean narrative.
So, what does this all mean for you listening right now? What does their story tell you about the different layers of truth we encounter when we dig into history? Especially when those official records meet personal narratives, the grit of entrepreneurship, and just the quiet struggles of everyday life. Maybe consider this. How many other untold stories might exist out there, just waiting for someone to piece together their true complexity from the scattered records and whispers they left behind?